And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the broadcast. Welcome back to the OSC Elite Rising Star number 17.5. This is a unique tournament here that does feature up-and-coming players from all around the world. Let's go. We just wrapped up with the first 3 best of 5s. We have 3 more best of 5s remaining. And up next, we have a best of 5 between Creature and Hatsu. PvZ is going to be coming up next. Game 1 is going to be on Winter Madness. Hatsu is also more of an up-and-coming player, has been very active over the past year, playing in almost every open cup, very active and still improving, still climbing through the ranks. Meanwhile, our Protoss player here is a veteran of the scene, a veteran of the region. Creature, I believe, did debut in like 2015, 2014? Been around for a long time, then retired for a couple of years, and recently did return to StarCraft. So welcome back, Creature. He's been back for like 2 years at this point, but did retire for like 4, so it's been a while. But great to see him back, great to see him return, and we'll see how he compares this morning. In the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss himself. It is a Creature. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the pink Zerg player going for the pool first. 16 pool timing here, 16 pool opener. We do have for the Platinum Heroes, Hatsu. I believe still on the Platinum Heroes. Currently, you can see here in game is not on a team, but Hatsu is from the European region, and I believe this game is being played on NA, so I think it's still on the Platinum Heroes, but we'll find out over time. We'll figure it out. Here we go. Again, 16 pool into a gas, so pool, gas opener, late hatchery, hyper aggression out of Hatsu, and the probe scout does confirm. So Creature sees how early the gas is being taken, he sees how early the pool is, and the Creature should be going for a more defensive opener. Does go for the gateway into Cybercore does go for the expand instead. Okay. So still just going for a standard opener. We could be seeing an early Zealot just to be safe and secure. 6lings are on the way. How greedy are we going to be? Creature. Remember, he scattered. Creature scattered what was going on. Creature is aware. Creature is skipping that first Zealot. And it's going to be a very clutch hold here. Lings are coming. The goal for Hatsu should be to focus on the pylon. Now, Creature can pull the boys to defend that pylon, but it looks like Creature wants to skip the Zealot and go straight for the Adept. Again, this is a very greedy opener here. Now he starts this Zealot should have been started long ago. Remember, Creature, he scouted the opener. Never mind, the power of Chrono Boost. Okay, no, it's well timed. I assumed that the Zealot would pop out too late, but no, it's actually perfectly timed. Look at this. Okay. I mean, still does pull the boys. It's still a little bit terrifying. Lacking the confidence, Babby, but again, very nicely timed here. Timed at the second to get here, to warp in, to shut down the Lings, and with that, Creature holds. Creature, he does hold on. Again, still did overreact by pulling all those workers, so some damage was dealt, but overall, this is a better start for Creature. Overall, it's a better start. From here, we do have a Roach follow-up, so it's going to be an all-in. Hatsu's going for a Ling Roach all-in, 0 drones here at the natural base. It's all or nothing for Hatsu. Creature is going for a standard follow-up, going into a Stargate, into an Oracle, into a Scout across the map, but for the time being, Creature is in the dark. Usually in this game, at this point in the game, the Adepts would be moving out to Scout, right? The Adepts would be across the map to Scout to confirm what's going on, but because of the early Ling aggression, Creature is stuck at home, and this move out for the Adepts is very delayed. Very delayed. But Creature spots the Roach, as he knows. Yeah, it does spot the Roach. Shield battery's already done. The Stalker's being chronoed as we speak. The Oracle is on the way. Creature's getting ready. Getting ready for the defense. Roaches are going for the Zealot, but again, that Shield battery putting in a lot of work. Oh no! Oof. Zealot gets surrounded. Yeah, a bit of an A move there from Creature. But Zealot is surrounded, first Adept goes down, and Hatsu does get on top of the Stalker. Stalker does barely go down, the boys are being pulled, the first Oracle has arrived. Remember, the Oracle is heavily reliant on energy, and the Roaches, they bust in. Roaches, they break on through. 7 probes go down, and down goes that Shield battery. And Hatsu, There's no warp gate. Yeah, there's no warp gate. There's nothing else to defend. There is a Void Ray on the way. The Void Ray will eventually clean this up. But is this too much damage? That's going to be 8 probes. Hatsu now busting into the main. Now does bust in. Also, I do apologize if you forget the predictions. Well, we depower. Stargate gets depowered. We have another pylon on the way. The Void Ray again will eventually pop out, but so many probes are going down. This is getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand, getting out of control. Takes on the pylon, depowers everything. And how many workers will survive this? Creature does actually warp in some adepts, though. Okay, 2 adepts do warp in. Creature holds a natural. Yeah, the natural will be defended. Oof. Very messy defense here by Creature as he bleeds out so many workers. But Creature is holding. Yeah, Creature down to 8. Down to 8 probes at the same time. Hatsu is on 15 drones. Almost a 1-base saturation. But this Void Ray is going to get a lot of free damage. True. Hunting down Overlords, hunting down Lings. Again, free damage here for Creature. Free damage. The Lings, they break down the front door. They bust down that front door. They go into the mineral line once again, getting another probe. Getting, oh, another 3 probe kills. Now, have we seen a Protoss player come back from this? Yes, multiple times actually. Like, again, we've been casting StarCraft for a long time. I'm still thinking about Ender versus Starduck. I want to say Starduck went down to, was it 3 probes? He went down to 3 workers. And what did Starduck do? Starduck, he had, I want to say 2 Void Rays. He counterattacked and he was able to kill Ender. Like that, that was at the pro level as well. Like that was a couple of years ago. So we have seen that before. But Starduck, he had multiple Void Rays. Here, only 1. Only 1 Void Ray. So with only, like, again, imagine if if Creature had 2-3 Void Rays, could counterattack, could kill a queen, and then cripple the economy, right? It's like at the moment there's only 1 queen to defend, so could even get in position to kill the hatchery even as well. But there's only 1 Void Ray, so Creature can't really counterattack. Things they get 1 more probe kill. See, this is before Starduck was taken away from us by KS2. Smurge. Back when he was the rising star of OCE. But again, Creature is on 2 bases. On 2 next side, he's rebuilding his probes. Hatsu is now droning. Hatsu has very little tech to work with. So Creature is still very much so in this game. Creature went down to 5 workers. Went down to 5 probes, and now is already up to 15. Again, Creature is recovering. That's the scary thing here, just because of the tech that was left over and because of the 2 bases. So Creature, I would say at this point, is in a better position, actually. Just because Hatsu's not droning. Like, Hatsu, yeah, the drones are a little bit late. Is rushing into a very fast lair. This is a little bit perplexing. Really fast lair here by Hatsu, whereas we could otherwise make use of more drones and more queens. And we'll see what the lair is going to be used for. Based on the attempted all-in, this might even be for a Nidus Worm, right? We might try, but there's nothing to Nidus. Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced on the lair here. Like, in this kind of game state, like, this is a lot of money. It's a lot of money being spent on this. And, of course, production time. Could have been 1 extra queen. As overlords are being hunted down. As the Voider does hit the natural. pokes in. Hatsu going to be going for... I mean, now we see the purpose of the lair is going into Hydras. But it's going to be a tough defense here. ZFs, they shade into the main. They shade into the main base. Drone's going to be going down. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, he gets 3 drones and eyes mining in the main base. Going to Clave, that's behind this as well. And this is getting out of hand. Again, Hatsu did amazing when it came to curbing the economy, but Creature was left on 5 workers. Like, that's... that's too much, man. That's too much. Stays trapped into the natural. Massive connection covering most of the workers, most of the economy. And as we mentioned before, Creature is ahead. Like, Creature is ahead economically. Has a stronger eco. And he's looking to outscale. Okay, going for that gateway explosion. Building up into mass adepts. Five worker proto slip. I mean, it's one of those things where Creature was left with 5 workers, yes, but he had 2 bases, right? He had 2 next side. As I mentioned before, Hatsu rushing into the lair was an odd choice because that was a lot of resources early on, when really we need to do everything to drone up, to saturate, to get a 3rd base, to build up more queens. Right now, yes, we have Hydra upgrades on the way, but we don't really have the economy to sustain Hydra production right now. Making 5 Hydras. Creature, meanwhile, just chilling. Getting into a 3rd. Building on mass adepts. And Hatsu was so close, so close. Ay, ay, ay. But that lead that Hatsu once had, not quite there anymore. I stuck with Ling Hydra. I didn't really get to emphasize the composition that we're going for here, but Ling Hydra melts and crumbles against mass adepts. Adepts, they're quite fun against this kind of composition. What do we need against adepts? Banelings, roaches, one or the other. Mass Ling Hydra can excel, I suppose, but in this low enough numbers, adepts, they dominate. Yeah, Hydras are getting picked up. Adepts taking kite against seedlings. As they attempt this around. Oof. Yeah, more Hydras getting picked off. Ay, ay, ay. That's what, 5 Hydras going down. 6. And a queen. And remember, we're not done. We have more depths. More depths are shading in as well. Hatsu being torn apart. Adepts are in the main. They're in the natural. As I'm sure Creature's very happy to see just purely Ling Hydra to defend. And this is becoming critical damage. 12 drone kills. And Creature's still not yet done. We have more adepts. They're coming. The adepts are coming. Hatsu's all in. Hatsu has had enough defending. Just rushing across the map. Mass Ling, Mass Roach. Rallying across. More Hydras getting caught. Oof. Let's say breakthrough. And Creature, I believe, isn't really teching behind this either. Yeah, there's no further tech. Like, there's no setup into Colossus or Archons or Storm. It's still just warping in mass adepts. That's a lot of adepts. We have 16 adepts against 12 Hydras. Oof. As Creature does focus on 17 more drones. Shading into the natural. 18, 19, 20, 21. 20. 20 drone kills. We're playing like it's 2016, Mappy. Or even just current year, true. That's just it's mass adepts. As there's no support for the Hydras, that say shade on top of the army. They collapse on the Hydras, GG gets called, and Creature takes game number 1. Whew, GG, well played. A very impressive game here by Creature. Bearing in mind, Creature went down to 5 probes, by the way. Went down to 5 workers against 15 drones of Hatsu. But as we mentioned, Hatsu's follow-up after the all-in, after the damage was dealt, was lacking. Hatsu had a hard time droning, did decide to go for the faster lair, did decide to tech up, when really the main focus needs to be to drone, to saturate, and to get a third base, which never did pop up. Bearing in mind that because the Stargate was depowered, there was only 1 Void Ray, so Hatsu could expand, could take a third, and could be able to maintain that third base as well and build up in towards a greater mid game, but instead did decide to stay on a low base count, low economy, and a high tech instead, which Hatsu couldn't quite afford either. So that gave the opportunity for Creature to build up, to mass up, and to overwhelm. GG, well played. Again, the all-in itself was solid, but it was the follow-up that was lacking for Hatsu. But here we go. We're going to be loading into game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Ruby Rock. Let's go. Here we go. Here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the red Protoss player. We have the red Protoss himself. We have the American Protoss leading the series 1-0. It is a Creature. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the pink Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Hatsu. Here we go. As a reminder, last game we did see a 16 pull timing, 16 pull into gas into later hatchery out of Hatsu in towards the initial all-in, the initial Link Flood with Roach Rush. This time, what do we go for? Eyes are on Hatsu. And again, the initial all-in was solid. Like, the initial all-in did break the natural. You could argue that maybe Creature was overly confident in that defense. True, I would say that as well. But Hatsu was able to break through the natural, cripple the economy. But again, the follow-up is where we were lacking. Seeing the chat, a weird discussion about Eon and Mini Zerg and MMR. I think I see Thorn bring up MMR a decent amount, and maybe some other people as well. I would say that that's like it's probably a negative thing to do, just because I think it happens. I would say the same thing about people that are overly reliant on Eligulac. When it comes to MMR, when it comes to trying to look up players' accounts, it's very common for players to have alternate accounts and to play on barcodes, and I wouldn't necessarily rely or put too much weight on their MMR stated on something like SC2 Pulse. I don't think that is something that you want to rely too heavily on when it comes to formulating an opinion. I think it's maybe something that you can use a little bit, but it's probably something you don't want to fixate on. Same thing with Eligulac as well. Eligulac is like a tool that you can use, but if you focus on it too much, it can give you like false information, or it can like kind of lead you astray. So do kind of be careful about that, about trying to like make arguments a little bit too heavily reliant on something like MMR or something like Eligulac. Just be aware. Be aware. As we are getting into our next game. And once again, we are committing into an early Link Flood. Okay. Now, a couple of things here. Link speed. Link speed is on the way. And more importantly, Hatsu doesn't pull out of gas. You can see here, Hatsu does not pull out of gas here, is staying in. Well, I think an example of like the MR thing as well is that Hatsu is very much so the underdog in this series. I want to say there's like maybe over 1,000 MR difference between Hatsu and Creature. And Hatsu almost won that last game. like that's like an example of that, right? Where again, Hatsu is like again is definitely more of an amateur player, and almost took that game then and there. But here we go. Is the Link Flood. Now, once again, we were focusing on the continued gas income. From here, we can go into a Baliness, we can go into a Roach Warren. Typically, you'll not be mining gas like this unless you mean to make use of it. And oh, we're going for the lair. Okay. Huh. Are we going for Dropper Lords? Like, I'm just trying to think here, because we have no second gas geyser, and we have no drones either. So no drones, no second gas. The Link Flood is coming. We do see a full wall up here by Creature. First Stalker is going to go down, takes down the Stalker. There's one Overlord on the right, but there's no Overlord in position on the left-hand side. So what's the lair for? Oh, he canceled. Never mind. Cancellation on the lair. Maybe it was a bit of a mistake staying in gas here, but again, the gas is not going to be influential. First gateway goes down, but we do have a full wall here. The Oracle goes ham, and Creature's perfectly fine. Yeah, as opposed to last game, this time the wall is solid. It's a little bit messy. We got 2 Zyber cores. We have a little bit of a messy wall here. But Creature is going to be able to defend. And again, there's no drones. Remember, there's no drones, there's no saturation, there's nothing behind this. Nothing behind this. And we're running out of steam. We're running out of steam. Game 1 may have been close, but here game 2 a much more donut defense. GG gets called, and Creature takes game number 2. Whew, GG. Creature extends his lead in the series. Again, this was a bit of a more awkward, a bit of a more messy build out of Hatsu. Game 1, again, everything was working well, but here in game 2, we were still mining gas. We were opting to go for a lair, which I was really perplexed by. In my mind, the only thing that would make sense there would have been something like Dropper Lords, just to bypass the wall. But again, there were no overlords in position, and we saw a cancellation of the lair. So I'm curious what the plan was, whether there was plans or intentions to go into something further, to tech up into something further, or something else, like a Nidus Swarm, for example. But in the end, Hatsu committed with the Link Flood. This time Creature had a full wall. Last time there was a bit of a gap. Last time there was a Zealots in position with a gap behind it. This time full wall with buildings. GG well played, was able to defend, was able to shut that down. And now we're going to be loading into game number 3. And we've seen 2 all-ins in a row here from Hatsu. Game 1 and game 2. Do we have another all-in here? Another early game aggression out of Hatsu? Let's find out. Let's go. Going to be loading into the Old Republic, one of the larger maps of the map pool. One of the larger maps. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the Old Republic, we have the American Protoss player. We have the Red Protoss leading the series 2-0. It is a Creature. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Pink Zerg player. The Pink Zerg player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Hatsu. And welcome to the Old Republic. This is one of the larger maps in the map pool, longer rush distance by ground, at least compared to maps like Tourmaline or Ruby Rock, for example. So we'll see if we go for another early pool, early gas. Do we have another different kind of all-in in store? Bearing in mind that it was a different kind of all-in, right? Game 1, we had a rush into Roaches with a Ling Roach all-in. Game 2 was just purely a Ling Flood. Game 3, hatch first. Okay. I think for the first time this series, I'm not quite entirely sure of the build of last game. I wasn't, unfortunately, I was a little bit distracted, but this time it is going to be hatch first out of Hatsu. Do we go for an economic build this time? Hatch gas full. Okay. Let's go. Hatch gas full. We're calming down. And do we get some macro out of our 2 players? Let's go. We're here for it. Showballs only work if your opponent watches them morph in. True. Here again, we are just going to be joining up, going to be saturating, and we'll see how Hatsu does actually build up into a longer macro game. In position for a 3rd expansion as well. Now, from my recollection, we have seen a decent chunk of Hatsu rushing into Hive in games past and series past. Going to Hive Tech, or maybe being heavily reliant on Roach Ravager in the mid game. So we'll see, as it's been a while since I've seen Hatsu macro, I'll be honest. It's been months. It's been months. As Hatsu is known for being hyper cheesy and hyper aggressive, as you've seen in the series. I think the last time I saw Hatsu macro was when Hatsu was playing in the Beast of the Hill tournaments and the Beast of the Hill matches. If you remember, it was it Patches? I think Patches was hosting some Beast of the Hills, which is like 8-player FFA, like center control points. Like it was, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. And it was an in-house Platinum Heroes tournament. That's it. It was in-house to Platinum Heroes. That was what, like in June of last year. That was they were fun though. They were fun. If you haven't seen it, haven't heard of it, hello drone, Fast Roaches. If you haven't seen it, haven't heard of it, I do recommend it. It was a mod where, again, it's like 8-player FFA, but there are control points and zombies, like neutral zombies, like spawn in every like minute or so, and they attack everyone. Like they it's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of fun. The control point forces them to engage, and then the zombies also like kind of, you know, help deal with like turtling players and stuff like that. Interesting mod. As Creature breaks in, gets 3 drones, pulls away. Again, this was a, I want to say 320, like 320 Roach Warren timing here from Hatsu, so very, very early Roach Warren is hidden behind the main base, and there's a high chance that Hatsu may not even drone up the third. Again, there's typically not much reason to get a Roach Warren this quickly, unless you mean to make use of them. So we'll see. Meanwhile, Stargate Oracle in towards a third base. So the Oracles, they find some free damage here at the third. 2 drones going down. They spot the Roaches as well. And we're getting some mixed signals here. Hatsu is droning, but also making roaches, but also droning. Like we're a little bit cut down the middle here. Again, because the Roach one is so early and so quick, this should be for an all-in, but Creature just saw the roaches. Creature knows. Creature knows that the Roach one is done, and Creature knows something is wrong. And as you can see here, only 1 drone. Okay, only 1 drone, so it is going to be an all-in. So 2 base all-in. 2 base all-in out of Hatsu, or really 1.5 bases. As you can see here, we're undersaturated in the main base, and we have no extra gases, no lair, no intention for a longer game. So pure all-in by Hatsu. Adepts, they do confirm. They find a free Ravager. Oof. Yeah, brutal body blocking there. The Ravager goes down. Ay, ay, ay. The Ravager does fall. Oracles, they catch out the roaches. And Hatsu already running out of steam. That's what? How many roaches have gone down? 5. Oh, 4 roaches and 1 Ravager. There's only 2 roaches left, by the way. There's that was the backbone of the army. So a rough start for Hatsu. A very rough start. Ravager gets started down. Lings are trickling in. And yeah, this all-in is falling on its face. It just ran out of steam too quickly. Losing those 4 roaches in the center was brutal. Which I imagine were meant to be Ravagers, by the way. Or meant to become Ravagers. And the Creature holds. That Creature's perfectly fine. Lings, they collapse in. We got shield batteries, we got oracles, we got lasers from the skies. GG gets called, and Creature will take the series 3-0, advancing on to the next round. GG. GG, well played. Creature will claim the series. Again, game 1 was very close and very clutch. Game 1 was very intense, but game 2 and game 3 a lot more one-sided. Creature, once he got an idea of how Hatsu was playing, was able to just play it safe, play cool, calm, and collected, and just shut down the all-ins time and time and time again. It was a little bit unfortunate here for Hatsu, as Hatsu was going for a Ling Roach all-in, but got caught out in the center and lost 4 roaches and 1 Ravager before the all-in began. And I'm pretty sure those roaches were meant to eventually morph into Ravagers for a Ling Ravager all-in to break the third, which could have had a little potential, but again, the wind was taken out of the sails very early, very quickly, early on. GG. GG, well played. With that, congratulations here to Creature, and with that, we are now moving on to our 4th series of the broadcast. Sorry, to our 5th series. 5th series up next is going to be we just spoke about him, is going to be a best of 5 between Patches and MJD.